Okay, we're up to Kuf Mem Zayin Amid Aleph. Nice sugya. Sugya of Shchib Meirah. Sugya of Shchib Meirah. Parallel to the Taisus like Kasha. Reb Zera. Reb Zera, Rav. Says Reb Zera and Pini, Kuf Mem Zayin Amid Aleph. Parallel to the third Taisus down. Reb Zera, Rav. Minayin lematna Shchib Meirah shehi min ha-Torah. How do you know the matana of Shchib Meirah is min ha-Torah? Says the Rashbam, right? Shekoina bedibor b'lei kinyan. How do you know there's a source for being koina with a dibor without making a kinyan? Just kinyan sudar. You know, it's just we say dibur Shchib Meirah without a kinyan works. Min ha-Torah. Where do you know that from? Where do you know that from? It says we'll see Taisus in a second. Shenemar. It says by the Benos Slavchad. But if a girl inherits, and the lashon of Havara will go over to his daughter. So just like Yerusha is with a kinyan, there's another Havara going over without a kinyan. That's the way the Rashbam learns. So just as Yerusha goes without a kinyan, automatically it happens. So too, Shchiv Meirah automatically it happens. Now, if you look at the top Tosos, Lav min ha-Torah dafka kama. When it says that, Shchib Meirah is min ha-Torah, lav dafka min ha-Torah. The Rav Nachman Gufa islay l'kamon, the ain't Mishal Torah. We're going to see Rav Nachman himself says on the Amid base, it's not Mishal Torah. But Asua Kishal Torah, but they made the Shchib Meirah Kishal Torah. In other words, we're going to see on the Amid base, it's not Mishal Torah, but they made it that way. So you see that it's not Deraisa. Ela smachta ba'alma. It's only an asmachta. The Chachamim found a source from the Benos Slavcha, the Avarta, as a source for this din of Shchib Meirah. But it's not, it's a din d'Rabbanan. That's the way it learns. Okay? Back in the Gemara. Rav Nachman Amar Rabba Baravua. He doesn't learn from Rav Zera's in the name of Rav, from the lashon of Avarta. He learns what? He learns it, v'nasatem es nachlasei la'achiv. And now, what is v'nasatem? Yesh t'chon nesina cheresh yikazu. There's an asina like this. That's the matan of a Shchib Meirah. So you have two sources. You have the source of Avarta, and you have the source of v'nasatem. Okay? So Rashman points out that v'nasatem is extra because it could have written v'im ein loy bas nachlasei la'aviv. Right? It's extra. Rabbeinu Mechanel says the S is extra. Whatever it is, you're making a drush over here. Rav Nachman, my time alema me'avartem. Rav Nachman was said from you learned it out from v'nasatem es nachlasei. What did he like about Rav Zera in the name of Rav's pshat? He needs the avartim for Rebbe's din. The Tan Rebbe Oimer b'kulan nemru behen nesina. By all the Yerusha that we saw in the beginning of the Yeshnoichlin, in the Parsha it says nesina. The kan nemru havara. By the daughter it says avara. Because ein lecha shema v'nachlim yishev l'shevet elabas. How's it possible for a piece of land achuza to go from one shevet to the next? It's if a girl marries a man, she inherits something, and then it's going to go over to what? To her husband. Or children, but so it's going to go not going to go to her family. It's going to go to his family. So you're going to go ahead, for all intents and purposes, make it go from one shaver to the next. Since the Baal Ubayla inherit her, so that's why Rav Nachman did not have a vartam extra. They needed for this din. Rabbi Seira, my time satem. What did he not like about Rav Nachman's pshat? He said ulcha de krohu. It's just the normal way to go ahead and talk. Rav Menashe bar Yirmiyah Amar Mehacha. This is where you know Shchib Meirah from. But Yom Mahem, so he's going to look for a source in the Torah. Now, just for a background, we saw this in Masech the Brachas, very famous Gemara. Chizkiyahu Melech was a tzaddik, Yisrael Olam. He was a huge tzaddik, but he got sick because he didn't want to get married. He wasn't Mekayim in the midst of Rivya. Why? Because he saw B'Nevuah he was going to have a son Menashe. Menashe would put in a slem in the Heichel, in the Beis HaMikdash. A terrible, terrible Russia. And he saw that, so he wanted to stop it from happening. Comes along Yoshiyahu Navi and says, Bahade kivshu derachmad alama. What are you getting involved in Hashem's cheshbon? You have your cheshbon. Hashem tells you your mitzvah period of Rivya. You go ahead and worry about your cheshbon. You don't do anything else. Don't worry about anyone else's cheshbon. You just do what you're supposed to do. Okay, that's what he told him. Anyway, so what happened was they said maybe Yeshaya is going to give his daughter to Chizkiyahu, and then both of them would save things. Ended up Menashe killed Yeshaya. Menashe killed his own farm, killed his Zayda. So it was an unbelievable sad thing. So this is what happens. Yeshaya is coming to give that's the background. He's coming to give Musa to who? To Chizkiyahu. B'yom Mahem Cholach Chizkiyahu Maves. He was going to die. Vayavo Elov. I'm reading something correctly. B'yom Mahem Cholach Chizkiyahu Lamus. Vayavo Elov Yeshio ben Amutz Hanavi. Vayomer Elov Ko Amar Hashem Tzav Levesecha Kimesatav Lesichya. Command your house because you're going to die. Command your house because you're going to die. So what do you see? B'tzava v'alma. Right? But you see the tzava itself, right? He's like a shchiv meirah is going to die. So he said, you see b'tzava v'alma that a shchiv meirah is kind of just with dibur. That's the source that Rav Menashe brings. Rami bar Yecheskel from a different source. Okay, let's give a little background, guys. A little background. Avshalom's son, Avshalom rebels against his father. Avshalom was the son of Macha. It was Eshes Fastaya, David taken in battle. Pasuk tells us it's Sleimich next to each other. The parsha of what Eshes Fastaya, Ben Sarah Mora. Anyone who goes ahead and marries a Eshes Fastaya will have a son who's Ben Sarah Mora. So he rebels. He rebels, and David's on the run. David's on the run, and he sets up two people to go ahead and advise him. Hushaya Arki and Achitophel. Navi tells us asking Achitophel for an advice was like asking the Urim V'Tumim. Achitophel gives advice to kill David and to go ahead and press the advantage. Hushai says the exact opposite. It made no sense. They made no sense. Achitophel's made all the sense. And who does Avshalom listen to? Hushai. He doesn't listen to Achitophel. Achitophel then realizes that the rebellion's over. He was the huge person, and he has understood that this is Hashem way telling him that you did the wrong thing. So we're picking it up. What happened over there? Achitophel decides that he's going to take his own life. So he has a din of Shchiv Meirah, and he does the following. Achitophel saw that Avshalom did not do what? His eitzah. He saddled up his donkey. And he went back to his house. He commanded his house. And he hung himself. And he's buried over there. The Mishnah in Chelik tells us Achitophel is one of the Yaitis that has no Chelik in Olam Haba because he was Ma'abed Asatzma. He killed himself. He committed suicide. So this is what it tells us. Now, what does it say? He went ahead and he commanded. So he commanded them. B'tzava ba'alma. You see, just the command without a kinyan affected it. So you have a source for Avarta, a source from the Satem, a source from Chizkiyahu, and a source from Achitophel. And now we digress to discuss Achitophel. Tarabanan. Shleisha devarim tziba Achitophel es banav. Three things Achitophel commanded his sons. Al tiyu b'machloikis. Don't be part of machloikis. Good advice. Val timridu b'malchus beis David. And don't rebel against malchus beis David. Better advice. And now strange advice. The yomtiv shel atzeres borur. And if on the day of atzeres there's no clouds, it's in the sky, it's clear. Zaroi chitim. Plant chitim. Mazutra amar bolul itma. Don't learn borur, but learn bolul. That it's like it's mixed together, clouds and clear. Amar nadoi mishmid of Yaakov loy borur mamish. It wasn't totally clear. Loy bolul mamish. That was totally ela filu bolul v'ruach tzvainis min hashvasai. Even if it was what. Even if it was a little cloudy, but the north wind was blowing. Sehu borur. That's considered clear. Okay. And we'll okay, let's continue on. And Amalei Rav Abba le Rav Ashi, Anon Adar the Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dimi Mastina. This thing about the winds we learned on the following din. Dam Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dimi, Moitzi Yomtiv Ha'achron Shel Chag. If on the Shmini Atzeres, Hakol Soifin LaOshen HaMaracha. Everyone's looking for the wind on the Mizbeach. Not the Klapet Sofin. If it went to the north, meaning the south wind blew, then aniyim smechim, the aniyim are going to be very happy. Ubali batim atzavim, and the people are going to be unhappy. They should gas mishanim merubim, because there's going to be a lot of rain that year. Uperis markivim, and as a result of the rain, the peris are going to go ahead and rat. So therefore, they'll want to get rid of them. They'll want to get rid of them because it's an over too much rain, and they'll want to get rid of them, so the price will be cheap. So the aniyim will be what? They'll be happy. That's if the south wind blows. Okay, so if you look at Tosfos, Avis Kasha, look at the second Tosfos down. Hakol tzayfin la'oshen amaracha beperakama diyuma parich la'amidetnan lo'inatzcha ruach oshan amaracha. It didn't go ahead wide, and it didn't waver. So the Gemara says, "Mashani lo shapa," the answer shapa. If you remember, it went up, but in other words, it blew, but it didn't. It blew like this, like a stick, like a branch in the wind. That's so. It was natural, right? No, it's usually you blow, you dissipate. It stayed in one thing and it went back and forth. So that's what Tosfos. Very good. That's what Tosfos says. Okay, now, uperis makim, not the klape daram. If it went to the south, that means the north wind blew. Aniyim atzavim ubali batim shmechim. If they shigash mishanim mu'atim, I guess it was the right amount. Uperis mishtamarim, not the klape mizrach. If it went to the east, that means the west wind was blowing. Hakol smechem. Mismashma that the west wind was good for Eretz Yisrael. Klape ma'ir. If it went to the west, then it's the east wind blowing. Hakol atzavim. The east is not good. So you have so in Eretz Yisrael, clearly west wind is good and east wind is not good. Or min alishu akasha, misrachas olam yafa. East is good. Marabas olam kasha, good. That's your kasha right there, because we just said west is good and east is bad. And I'm saying the opposite. Ruach tzvainis yafa lachitim b'shashay v'yu shlish. The north wind is good when it grows a third of its growth. The kasha is asim b'shashay sheyinatsu, in the times they bloom. Ruach joimis kasha lachitim b'shashay v'yu shlish. The bottom line is you see a stira. In Eretz Yisrael, he said the west wind is good, the east is bad, and here they're saying vice versa. To remember which is good and which is bad is shulchan b'tzafayin. The shulchan's in the tzafayin, so that's a lechem aponim is on that, right? And therefore wheat. So when the north wind blows, it's good for the wheat. U'menorah b'darim, and the menorah is in the south, so it's when it's the south wind, it's good for the Zayas. Okay, so each one is good for itself. Now, so therefore, the north wind's good for the wheat, south wind's good for the Zayas. Bottom line is, it says over here that east is good and west is bad. Like Hasha, halan v'halahu, right? Halan v'halahu. In Bavel, it's west is good, west is bad, and east is good. In Eretz Yisrael, west is good and east is no good, because depending on, and Bavel was very, very wet, and therefore the east was better for it, and Eretz Yisrael was dry, the west was better for it. Okay, I thought just to go ahead and it's a pretty short daf. I saw a beautiful Ben Yehoyada I sent out on the three commandments that Achi Teufel said. Right, he said three things, and what's the connection? So you should have it on your phones, hopefully. I think Benji sent it out. If you don't, you can see this. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, let's make it a little bigger. Daf Kufim Zayin Amar Aleph Al Ti Machlokes Val Timrodu nearly B'Siyata D'Shmaya Tam L'Shleisha Devarim Elu. The three things, the Shaycha Adadi, all three things. Machlokes, don't rebel against David, and plant wheat on Shavuos. Ki Yedu Ma'Shekasav Marizal Machlokes Doyeg Im David HaMelech Olav Shalom Hoysa Ben Yerus HaMovia. We saw a Gemara in Yevamis where Doyeg was questioning the lineage of David because of Rus. That David was not able to, it was a mamzer because his mother, his great grandmother was not allowed in Kal Hashem. Ach machloikes Achi Teufel hoisa mitzad Basheva. The machloikes Achi Teufel was regarding Batsheva. Shahaya Mahara Achrav Achi Teufel was questioning Sheba Alei Shesish Basur Love Chas V'Shalom. So it's not well known, fellas, but who was Batsheva's father? Eliam. Who was Eliam's father? Achitophel. Bathsheba was Achitophel's granddaughter, and therefore he held David. You guys hear Chiddush? He held David as being boiled in Ish. That answers the question: why was such a smart person rebel against David? So he felt since David did that, Hashem wasn't on his side anymore. That's why Achitophel joined the rebellion in the first place. It's a little known fact, but I'm telling you, yeah. So he felt that that David had taken Bathsheba, and therefore he was Maharar after David. What's the reason we learn Rus on Shavuos? One of the reasons we read Rus is because it was what? It was David was born on Shavuos. In the Shir and Rus that people give on Shavuos, if people come and attend it, you're told that the whole reason for Shavuos of Rus is there's no halacha written there. The whole reason is what? It's the Gemilas Chesed that Rus did with Naomi and the Yichus of Rus at the end of the Pasha. We spoke at the Bach, if you remember. That was the Shilas and Shuvah that we just did the Gemara. That Doeg had a Shilah, he sent it to Shmuel Ramasi, and Shmuel wrote Sefer Rus. That was this Shuvah. That was his Shuvah that she was permitted to come and call Hashem. A little whet your appetite for Shavuos night. Anyway, so. The kivim that know about Seres, the kach korin Rus about Seres. Since he was born on Atzeres, we read Rus on Shavuos. The kach nifta beat Seres. Therefore, David died on Shavuos. Ki Hakadosh Baruch Hu mashlim shnesav shel tzadikim miyayim liyayim. I still remember my little kid Shmoish was a little boy. I had 3 licht. Because who's it for? I said once for Zaidi, once for Uma. He goes, and the other one's for David. I said, yeah. For David. He's David. He says, he died on Atzeres. So now, that's the Mari that he brought in. Okay? So now, okay. ולפי זה, כיוון שנפטר דוד המלך עליו השלום בעצרת, שהוא יום שנולד בו, וזה נסבר אצל הכל שהוא צדיק גמור. Since he died on Shavuos, it became clear to everyone that he was a tzaddik gomer, and that's why he lived. He died on Shavuos. That that was his completed his life. The only people who die on their birthdays are tzaddikim gemurim. Rabbi saying Zal and Rosh Hashanah Daf Yud Aleph. Shekadosh Baruch Hu memalish neisav shel tzadikim miyom liyom u'mechodesh lechodesh. But keeping in his bar shu tzadik gomer shleichote Bathsheba, it became clear that he wasn't chayta with Bathsheba. As in his bar, the roy sheyu shleima noiled min Bathsheba hu yimlechem kaimai. Then it's roy for Shlomo, who was born on as a result of the union between Bathsheba and David. He could take his place. Kasher bikesh hu lasos, that like David wanted. Wheat, guys, is a remes l'shalom. If a person sees wheat in his dreams, yitzapel l'shalom, he should go ahead and be mitzapel for peace. Shenemar, hasam gevulech shalom, chelev chitim yasbiecha. So chelem chitim yasbiecha. So therefore, you what? It's geschmack, guys, right? Hasam gevulcha shalom, places Shalom in your gevul, chelev chitim. You say it in the yom, right? Ubezeh yuvin hamayme shetzivoy say al tiyu machloikis sheyiisi ani oisa. Therefore, now we can understand there shouldn't be a machloikis that because I knew I say im David the Inyan hearer sheyisi mahar achrav. I went ahead and thought after David with Bathsheba, I was wrong. By they kach al timroid machas based David. I was wrong in thinking bad after him. Don't be part of machloikis and don't rebel against him. If he, if this union that created Shlomo was not permitted, fellas, how in the world could he be king? A king can't even be from a ger. It has to be B'kerav Achecha. So if he was appointed king, it must be he's squeaky clean. So therefore, David and Bathsheba, he died on Shavuos, that what? You know that he was clean. Yan ki ani ta'isi b'machlokas shali. My machlokas, I made a mistake. V'al kain Ein limroi b'malchus beis David and his keres. Don't go ahead and rebel. The Yom Tov shel atzeres borer, right? And if Yom Tov atzeres is clear, what's the leimar? Kashayia b'Yom Tov shel atzeres davar borer. If on atzeres it's going to be something that's so clear, the bittul machloikis that would go ahead what and be mevatel machloikis. The hainu kashayifta David amelech or v'shalom b'atzeres she'oz boy b'yom yebiru shu tzadik gomer v'leichata b'vat sheva. So therefore, plant wheat. What's wheat a sign of, guys? Shalom. Yom Borer. What does Yom Borer mean? It's clear that what? There was no reason I should have been arguing in the first place. And that's the connection between what? Machloikis and the connection between what? Altim Rod Vistov. It's geschmack, peace. Okay, very, very geschmack. Okay? Hope you enjoyed it. Totally geschmack. Yeah, it was really, really good. It's Siyata Dishmaya, found it, and Penny, a little agadata. Okay, weiter. Tanya, Abishola, Yom Tov Shel Atzeres Borer, Siminyafa L'Chol Hashana Kula. If on Shavuos it's clear, it's a good siman. Amrav Zvid, Hayuma Kama de Rosh Hashanah, the first day of Rosh Hashanah, my yard site for my father. I Chamim Kula Shasa Chamima. If it's hot, the whole year is going to be hot. Rashbam says the last Rashbam claim Roiv Hashanah, most of the year is going to be hot. Talk about climate change, right? Just look at what Rosh Hashanah is like, you'll know. So Ikar, if it's cold that day, Kula Shasa career it'll be cold. L'may nafkamina, what's the nafkamina on the base? The tefillah shel koyin gadol, for the tefillah of the koyin gadol. Says the Rashbam, Shayim Espalul b'Yom Kippurim, the koyin gadol would go out of the Kachah Kedoshim after doing the Ketairis. And what would he do? He would have a short tefillah. Shete shonazu kishuma. It should be wet, ushkuna, and hot. Right. Therefore, le'inyan shiur b'Rosh Hashanah yispalo b'Yom Kippur. Whatever he sees on Yom Kippur, on Rosh Hashanah, he'll know what to daven for Yom Kippur. Let's see the top place. This tefillah shel kohen gadol sheispalo shemchama loitei chama yoysim midai. It should be too hot. Then krira loitei krira yoysim midai. It should be too cold. In other words, you can't. The tefillah, basically, you can't change things. This is not nichush. It's telling you that this is the way it's going to be, right? It's like that groundhog, Chuck. No, pork sahani Phil, right? It's not Chuck. It's pork sahani Phil, right? How come he never dies? It's been around longer than, right? Longer than Mendy. Anyway, Baraba Amar of Nachman. In other words, I don't know how Taisus fits in with this of Nachman. I guess that it's only on a smachta, but it's totally on a smachta. That's his proof. So, but it's mashman. He's disagreeing with the previous Gemara. I'm not sure how to learn pshat because it's the Shchim is the Rabbanon. Let's see the Rashbam guys go down. Venera be'enai goes down the Rashbam about count up from the bottom lines of the Gemara. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 9 lines off from the bottom of the Gemara. It says Venera be'enai in the Rashbam. The L'hachi tikkun Rabbanon sheyiknu devara b'amira. Why would they? What's the whole reason behind what? Behind the Shchim Eretz Takana? Shem ein devar of niknim. If right, chashina shem etitrav daitay b'chol yav mitoich tsar shu yodeya shlo yikaimu banav tzavasai. In other words, you know what he's worried about? He's worried about if you don't make a kinyan now, whatever his tzava is, his kids won't listen. I want this person to get it. How many people fight over what? Over nachla. So he's worried. So by saying whatever he says goes, and you're out of kinyan, it's going to cause him tremendous what? In a very difficult time, it's going to cause him yishuv adas. Okay, so that's pshad in the Gemara I was going to see right now. So Rav Nachman, the reason why you don't need a kinyan is not, you don't need a pasuk to tell me that, you don't need a smach to tell me that, it's a svara. The Chacham said, we want this person to have what? Shouldn't have titrav daita, shouldn't have aglos nefesh as he's dying. That what? That his sava will be gone ahead and carried out. We know his sava will be carried out now. Why? Because you don't need a kinyan. Whatever he says goes. Umiyam Rav Nachman Hachi. Does Rav Nachman really say it's the Rabbanon? Vam Rav Nachman Afagav Dam Shmuel Hamoichish Shtar Chayv Lechaveiroi V'Chazaru Machloi. So I have a Shtar Chayv. I have a $1,000 debt owed to me by Penny. I go ahead and sell it to Benji. Benji comes to Penny and says, I want to collect. Penny says, 1 second, Rabbi Stern was Michael. Now, if I sold it to Benji, how could I be Michael? And the answer is, I still retain the shibud. Benji only had the right of collection. The shibud of Pini was to me. The lien was to me. So therefore, I'm Michael now. Basically, I'm messing up Pini, correct? I'm causing him damage. I'm causing Benji. I'm causing Benji damage, right? So if you look at Rashbam, we bring this in all the time. First wide line. First wide line, guys. The Chazar Michael Aloive. I'm Michael the Chayv the Pini. Machal, it's void. The lay Machal lay Rishain L'Sheni. I didn't sell to Benji Elakol Schush Shetav Aliyadai. Any schush that I had. Lay Adiv Haylay Keach Mi Milva. Benji's not any better than me. The Asim Achmasei, because he's coming to collect from Pini because of me. The Milva. Umiyu my Michael Keach. I'm gonna have to go ahead and pay back Benji. The Hilchasahi, the Dina Dini Gami. The law is we go ahead and we judge Dini de Gami. So this we always spoke out the difference in Grama Gami based upon Rosh in the beginning of Layachpar. It's Miyad, it's Bari Hezeka. So right away we go. What's the difference in Grama and Gami? Where Grama Yapata be the Yodam Chaim Shemayim versus Gami, where you're going to pay up. So the Rosh gives a few distinctions, right? And one of them is, two of them is Bari Hezeka. It's clear the damage, who did it, and it's Miyad. So as soon as I'm Michael the Chayv the Pini, Benji's right. It's clear. I cleared the damage that I did, and it's immediate. So therefore, and then I was mafsided. If I would have gone ahead, Rod, and burnt it up. Okay. So now we didn't bring any raya yet. Or we're asking a kasha. Somehow we're going to say this case is deraisa, right? We're going to say this case is deraisa. Now watch. Afagav the Amar Shmuel Amachasad Shtarchoy L'Chaveiroi. V'chasu Machloi Machol V'afilu Yoirish Michael. Even the Yoirish could be Michael. The Yoirish, let's say the Yoirish. In other words, let's say I would sell it to Benji, and my Yoirish would be Michael. It works. In other words, my Yoirish would inherit the right. Benji, again, can't be better than me. All he has is the right of Gevia, of collection. So even a Yoirish can be Michael. Moida Shmuel, however, Shmuel's Moida, Shem Nasnu b'matnis Shchiv Meira, then Yachal Michlei. Now, what happens if you don't sell it, but you give it as a matana? You know, you didn't sell the right, but you gave it outright. If you gave it as a matana, then I couldn't be Michael. If I gave it to Benji as a matana, Benji has I gave the whole kit and caboodle to him. Not only the right of Gevia, but even the shibud. So if a Shchiv Meira goes ahead and gives a shtar mil hava to one of his children or somebody else, that person could be Michael and not the Shchiv Meira. So what do you see? It must be daraisa. It's not like a din of a Yoirish. It's more than that. It's more than a Yoirish. A Yoirish, we're going to say later on it is like a Yoirish, but right now we're going to say that it's more than a Yoirish. Now, how could you go ahead and say that? It must be that you gave. It must be the Raisa. I'm Bishleim with the Raisa. Bishleim, you're going to tell me that the Shibud is the Raisa and the Kinyan of the Shemeirat is the Raisa. The Kinyan of the Shemeirat is the Raisa. I keep on saying the Kinyan. The Maton of the Shemeirat is the Raisa. Mishmachi and Yachal Limchal. Therefore, what? He's not, the Shemeirat can't be Michael. Why? Because it's no longer his, right? He's not able to be any Yachal Limchal. He's not able to be Michael because what? Because it's in the hands of the other person, right? So in other words, the Matnas Shemeirat would be stronger than the Meicher. If you can say the Matnas Shemeirat is the Rabbanon, why is not he able to be Michael? So it's only the Rabbanon, why can't he be Michael? And for the Gemara, Eina Shel Torah, it's not Mishal Torah, but Asua Kishal Torah. But we made it what? Like Shel Torah. So just to reiterate, we are familiar with the Matnas Shemeirat. It's a tremendous chiddush of Divrei Shemeiras is Kiksu Muksum Dami. We began the Shia, the Rashbam says, what's the source for that? We had two psukim of Avartem and Satem. We had two other sources, either from Chizkiyahu or Achitoifel. We saw some Geshmaka, Agadata explanation of why Borer, it's Borer that David HaMelech was Roi on Atzeres, and that's the Chita with Shalom. So you have a remes to the three things he said. There should be Shalom, which is the Machlokes, right? That's the Chita. Borer, which one is clear that David don't rebel against him, and Atzeres, because that showed he was a tzaddik because he died that day. We're seeing a din that Rav Nachman says that the whole kinyan of the whole parsha of Shchib Meirah is because of Tichef Taitai. We want him to, it's not a pasuk, it's a smachta, it's simple din that we want him to have Yishuv Adas. We want him to have Yishuv Adas because we want to make sure that his kids don't go against his wishes. And Bez Hashem will continue to parsha Shchib Meirah tomorrow.